Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. In this video, I go through the leaked Evocati 3.10 patch notes. As always, huge thank you to all of my patrons and channel members. Thank you all so much for all the support. It is very much appreciated. If you do want to support the channel further, all the links are in the description below. Also, if you want to keep up with all the Star Citizen leaks, I have linked the Star Citizen Leaks Discord channel in the description below as well. So Alpha 3.10 has hit the PTU and is available to only the Evocati at this time. With this being the first 3.10 PTU release, not all of the features are implemented yet and will be iteratively added as they become available. There is a database reset, but long-term persistence is still enabled, so we should still have our cache and our items. Something to note for this particular build is that they said they will be monitoring the patch over last night, but may take it down if it's not stable enough, so fingers crossed it remains stable. Now, testing focus is ship flight in and out of atmosphere. They have updated the UI for all flyable ships using building blocks, high-speed combat changes, and turret gameplay. Now, the new features we'll go through for characters. They've implemented Mobiglass variants, only different colours, no function differences between them. These are found at the factory line store at New Babbage. We'll talk more about that in a second. For AI, the cover usage version 1, which allows for NPCs to use the environment to take cover and engage without fully exposing themselves. In gameplay, we have body dragging, and it says allowing players to interact with dead and unconscious characters and move them. It also mentions you can use a one-handed weapon, be that a pistol or a knife. Now for flight, there are thruster efficiency curves, jerk, and aerodynamic changes. The thruster curves change the way that thrusters work in different atmospheres, becoming much weaker in atmosphere than in space, obviously varying from planet and moon. Jerk is making the ship feel much smoother and weightier in atmosphere, and aerodynamics are implemented, meaning that each ship will now have individually simulated aerodynamic surfaces that contribute various little forces to the motion of the ship, making flight much more realistic and enjoyable. It says to expect a lot of subtle, unique flight characteristics. Ships with wings are now able to stall, lose speed in tight turns, and various fancy aerodynamic features. They also mention that expect wind to push you around in complex ways, and breakable parts now affect your flight as well, so if you lose a wing, it will no longer fly straight anymore. Now this all sounds great, and although it does feel like it needs a little bit more tweaking, I had to go with the Gladius, and it definitely feels a lot better. Certain motions are a bit slower than I'd like the rolling function was very slow, so it's definitely a step in the right direction. I'm thoroughly enjoying it, but it does need a little fine-tuning, I think, which will happen over time. Now, high-speed combat is a new feature. This means that ships will suffer the consequences of travelling at high speed, restricting some options at maximum velocity, which kind of push players to engage at lower speeds. Basically, when flying above SEM, or space combat manoeuvring speeds, the weapon accuracy, gimbal assist speed, and missile lock speed will be negatively affected. Now, they said that you'll still be able to lock onto a target while above SEM speed, but missile firing will only be below the space combat maneuvering speed. Now, I'm not sure whether this is a good idea or a bad idea. Hopefully, they will have a better idea as to what needs to be implemented, and I'll give it a go and see what it feels like. So, onto ships. They have added the P-72 Archimedes Emerald. They've also added ship paints to in-game shops, and using Alpha UEC you can buy them from Dumper's Depot or Omega Pro and then equip them via your ship loadout manager. For the first release, it is only going to be the Invictus 2950 paints, and they will be available for a small selection of ships, so don't expect the full system just yet. Variable armor values have returned to ships as well, and they have set up some minor variations, so ships designed to take punishment will now have a slightly higher damage resistance. Stealthier ships will have signature reduction in armor at the cost of some damage resistance. Also, for the Buccaneer, the Caterpillar, the Gladiator, and the Jean Scout, they have all had quality of life updates. A lot of them include gun size increases. I have linked the patch notes below, so do take a look at that if you are interested. For weapons, we have the Atscav sniper rifle, the Yubarev pistol, now available to buy alongside the Gemini C54 SMG. The ship weapon, the Sucker Punch, I think it was, isn't in yet. For Kortek, they have added the day-night temperature changes on planets. So, as you would expect, During the daytime, the planets are warmer, and then on the nighttime, they cool down a lot as well, which is very nice. They've also increased the ship cull distance to help with ships visually popping in and out at distance, which is good. For locations, the Grimhex version 2, they have added utilitarian hangars accessible by the main hub, with 2 large and 1 extra large. I haven't checked out Grimhex yet, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing where the racing takes place. They've also added high-tech hangars for new Babbage, and they do look very nice. The new Babbage Shops have been included as well. We have a novelty kiosk at the spaceport which sells souvenirs and knickknacks like the Space Penguin. The Factory Line flagship store, which I have been to, this sells the Mobiglass colour variants and a hacking chip. These are both available to buy. They have on display SimPods, ship computers, avionic modules and holomap displays. They are present, but they are unavailable to buy at this time. Now, they've done a planet redrop for the height map, which is basically a quality update, increasing the resolution, meaning more detail. They've also done a redrop for the landing zones, increasing the quality of the landing zones, derelicts, underground facilities, and outposts. They've implemented the new ocean shader, which now reacts to local lights. They've upgraded the shading for it, and it now reacts to wind conditions to enhance the realism of oceans. Quantanium has had a visual update, giving it a new, unique material that will differentiate it from other minables. Moving on to gameplay, the ship HUD rework. This has been rebuilt for all of the ship HUDs, which is using this new building block system ahead of the visual look update. So they look exactly the same, but they just work better. This isn't for ground vehicles, so that will come later. This is purely for ships. For turrets, they've improved the usability. Now they have fixed assist using weapon conversions to nudge weapons towards the target while still rewarding precise aim and area targeting. They've also added a modifier for how much the ship acceleration of the target is taken into account for pip prediction. They've updated the pip purely on the velocity, which gives a much more stable firing solution and decreases the effect of network jittering. So the improvements are definitely welcome, and we will give them a thorough test and see if it has improved. But it does seem that some of these updates are band-aids for the network issue, a bit like what Auto Gimbal was, which is fine for the time being, and will hopefully have a much more better solution once they fix the server issues. Prisons have had a bit of an update as well. They're updating the commissary vending machines and items, as well as NPC AI guard behavior. They've also added a mission to repair a broken oxygen dispenser for merits. The mission will trigger periodically, as oxygen kiosks in prison caves will break over time and signal that they need repairs. Quite exciting. I haven't been in prison much, so it doesn't really apply to me too much, but I'm sure I will try it out if I one day end up in there for obviously reasons that were not in my control. Anyway, they've updated all the radars and pings to be able to detect mineable entities. Now, I'm not sure why they decided to do that. I do prefer the fact that certain ships have specific radars for detecting minables, rather than making them all able to, but that is just me. Something that I have noticed is that the new multiple box pickup or delivery missions are available, which is good. Basically, you're now able to pick up a few boxes at one location and take them to multiple locations, or pick up boxes from multiple locations and deliver them all to a single location. Just kind of making those missions a little more long-winded, I guess, but in a good way. So they've also done a few bug fixes. The Mustang can now equip a size 2 quantum drive. They've fixed Karak thruster audio, so it is not excessively loud inside the ship. AI should no longer go into a relaxed aim stance while in combat, and they have fixed the ADS, or aim down sights positions on FPS weapons, to be centered so that the crosshairs line up to the bullet firing. That is extremely important. Basically, where your crosshairs lie is where your bullets will direct to. And finally, they have fixed a single client crash. So that is the first 3.10 PTU patch notes. It is great to see this making into the Evocati testing phase, and I am very much looking forward to trying it out more. It's looking like a great patch, and it's coming along very well. The flight changes are what probably excite me the most. Can't wait to get some proper practice in and get good at flying again. Anyway, do let me know your thoughts regarding this patch. Make sure you subscribe, as I'll be covering all the leaks as they happen. Tick that notification bell as well, that way you'll be notified as soon as my videos go live. Also hit the like button if you're excited for 3.10, and come hang out with us over on twitch.tv/supermacbrothers Ryan. Come and have a great time hanging out with us live. Thank you to my patrons and channel members. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.